There's something wrong with this place.
Where's Jess?
Who's Jess?
My friend that was in the room next to mine.
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Something's making us forget.
Blink twice if I'm in danger.
Well, maybe not. Let's not answer that one, right?
Blink Twice is a new psychological thriller film that hit theaters this weekend. It is the directorial debut of Zoe Kravitz, and it stars Channing Tatum as Slater Keene. Now, Slater Keene is this eccentric billionaire who has recently done something wrong. Now, they never really elaborate as to what he did wrong, but you are introduced to his character by our other star of this film, played by Naomi Ackie. Her name in this film is Frida, and Frida is watching a YouTube video of Slater Keene apologizing. He's in an interview saying that he's going to take some steps back from the company that he runs. He bought an island recently. He's going to go to that island and he's going to do some soul searching, and he's going to get away from everything that was going on. And Frida is watching this video because not only is she absolutely obsessed with him, not only does she think that he is like a beautiful person and doesn't care what he's done in the past, but she's also a waitress at an event where he is going to be the key speaker that night. So Frida, along with her friend who always has a lighter, Jess, played by Aaliyah Shawkat, and by the way, that is maybe from Arrested Development. For my Arrested Development fans out there, it was nice seeing her in something new. But Jess and Frida get together and they go to this event as waitresses, but quickly change into some flashy outfits so they can stumble into Slater Keene. And one thing leads to another, and they get an invite to his private island along with a bunch of other friends of Slater Keene. Bunch of guys, bunch of girls. It's just going to be a party weekend. And so they go and they start having the time of their life. They're enjoying so much of it. Well, at least they're enjoying what they can remember. And that is all I will say for the synopsis of this film. If that sounds like an interesting film to you, well, it is playing in theaters now, and I would highly recommend that you check it out in theaters. You do not want this movie spoiled for you, and it's interesting because I saw 2 movies in the last 24 hours, and I feel the same way about both of them. We'll get to my other one in another review soon. But with that said, let's get into my positives and some of my negatives. My first positive for this film has to be the acting all the way around. I thought everybody in this film acted their ass off. Now, I already mentioned several people, but also in this film, you have Haley Joel Osment shows up, you have Christian Slater in this film, and you also have Adria Arjona, I believe that's how you pronounce her name, and she was the main girl from the Hitman film, and I thought she did a great job in this movie, and I'd love to see more from her in the future. Overall, I had a great time with the acting. I thought that, again, it was believable. I thought everybody gave it everything they could. And I only mentioned about 6 names so far, but just about everybody in this film has a really big piece to this. And if they didn't play their character exactly how they needed to, this movie wouldn't have been able to be pulled off. So all the way around, I loved the acting. It was very believable and it was a good time. My next positive for this film has to be how they handled certain material in this film. The movie is a very heavy film, and I feel like very easily could have just felt like they were just trying to shove stuff down your throat the entire movie. What I mean by that is that this movie, yes, it deals with a woman who goes to an island, eventually is trying to escape from this very abusive man, but it deals with gaslighting and it deals with abuse in our society and how it is handled and how it is treated by other people. Even some other women are like, listen, I don't want to know about this. And it deals with that. And I think that they told it in a very powerful way, in a way where it didn't feel like, again, you were just shoving this source material down my throat saying, you will agree with this. It's like, yes, I already do, but you're not giving this to me in a package. At the end of the day, a movie is entertainment, and you're not giving it to me in an entertaining way. Like, you want to give me a message? That's fine. I already agree with that message. Yes, abuse happens. Yes, gaslighting happens. I agree with that. But so many films will just be like, no, you don't understand yet. You've got to figure it out. And it's just like, all right, great. But this film finds a way, in my opinion, to handle that material so well and show you like, okay, no, we're not just telling you, hey, gaslighting happens. We're not just telling you, hey, abuse happens. We are going to show you, and we are going to show you the damage that it does over time. And that was powerful to me. So powerful, in fact, that my final positive of this film is that, yes, I only saw it 24 hours ago, but man, this movie stuck with me. It's one of the few things that I thought about all day today. It was on my mind all day. Like, this movie really just kind of grabbed me, and it was like, hey, this kind of shit can happen. And again, I go back to my second positive where it's like very easily could have been material just sort of shoved at you, but they do it in a way that's gripping. And I love that about this movie. Yes, I didn't love the material of this movie because this movie is heavy, but it is material that needs to be talked about. And so if you want to portray these things in film, this is the way to do it, in my opinion. For my negatives in this film, I think the pacing is a bit off. Like, okay, the movie deals with memory loss, and so you, the viewer, are not seeing what's going on behind the scenes until they show you. And once they show you, you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to see what was behind the scenes. But that aside, the movie does have this weird pacing issue where you're watching this event play out and you're kind of seeing snippets and then it's gone. And then the next day, you're kind of as lost as all the girls are in this film. And clearly that's what they wanted you to have happen. But I just feel like the pacing and the sort of timing of how they do things throughout this film, it's going to throw off some viewers. And it did throw me off a little bit. It took a little bit for this movie to get going into something that I was really invested in. And I feel like had they told it a little differently, maybe shown you right away, then maybe you would have had a little more explanation. And then you were in on it where you were now feeling like, oh my God, these girls have no idea what's happening. They're just losing their memory. And I just wish the pacing and the timing of how they had done those snippets had been framed a little better, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's exactly how they intended it and they wanted it to be as big a shock to you. So I throw in the negatives now, but maybe down the line that'll turn to a positive when I watch it again. Next negative I have for this movie is Channing Tatum is extremely likable. And I don't know if he was the perfect person to get for this movie. And what I mean by that is that just Channing Tatum in general, you see him on the screen, you're just like, nah, that's a cool dude. He wouldn't do anything wrong. And maybe that's what they were going for. They were showing how abuse from men doesn't always come from ugly looking, disgusting dudes who you'd never go around anyway. It comes from some people that you'd be like, wow, that guy's good looking. Wow, that guy's awesome. So maybe that's what they were going for. But I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that his character in this film did not have the development depth that I felt like it needed in order to really send it home that this was a bad person, that this person did not even deserve life. And they didn't sell me on that enough. Yes, you see some horrible things that's happening by the hands of Channing Tatum and all of his friends to these women. And in that moment, you're like, yeah, kill them all, that's fine. But at the same time, just due to some things that they decide to do with Channing Tatum's character at the beginning of this film, toward the end of this film, like it almost opens like a rom-com, like you're completely on his side. And knowing where the movie goes, that's what the movie wanted you to believe. But again, his character didn't have that development. It was just kind of like, oh, yeah, he's nice enough. I mean, I don't know if he's actually, oh my God, he's doing that now. And then, oh, the movie's over. And that's kind of how you feel. And it's just like, I wish they had developed his character or the evilness of his character, the abusive nature of his character a little bit more. And that'll lead me to my final negative of this film. And that is that this movie, while there's some out there ideas that happen throughout the film, when you get to the end of this movie, it just feels a little too far-fetched. And I feel like I'm going to spoil things if I go any further, so I'll be really careful here. But they do some things with Slater-Keene, with Frida at the end of this movie where I was just like, I don't know if people would buy that in the real world. Like, I understand how they got from A to B. I do understand how they got the connection of what they were doing, but it just all happens a little fast. It feels a little rushed, and then you're supposed to watch it and be like, yes, we got them. But at the same time, I'm just kind of like, no, I don't feel like that thing would have happened that fast, and I don't feel like the end of the movie makes much sense because people would have started talking. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the movie, well, I'll leave you not knowing what I'm talking about here because I don't want to spoil it. Overall, Blink Twice was a very entertaining movie, and again, I give the movie huge props for handling such heavy source material, but finding a way for it not only to be entertaining, but a movie that I want to talk about with you guys, a movie that I want to share with friends and say, yeah, check out Blink Twice and let's talk about it, because I think that it handles some very serious issues, but it also does it in an entertaining way for the viewer which I appreciate. Overall, I would recommend you go check this movie out. Check this movie out in theaters if you can. It's worth your time. But those are just my opinions because that's my review for Blink Twice. Guys, if you had a chance to see this movie yet, if you have, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts. Again, there's some twists and turns that you won't see coming, and I'm curious if you're going to have the same experience that I did with this film. Maybe the end is a little bit of a letdown, but I think overall the movie was worth it. But with that said though, guys, if you like this video and you want to watch more, don't forget to hit that like button because it helps the video, it helps the channel, and it helps me right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. All right, guys, we got to the end of my Blink Twice review, and you know what? August is turning into a really good month. If next weekend is as solid as this weekend was, granted, I haven't seen The Crow as of this recording, so maybe I'll change my mind. But if next weekend is as good as this weekend was, this is one of the better months of the entire year. I've had a really good time in the theaters. With that said though, guys, if you like this video and you want to check out other content on my channel, well, I've got all of my 2023 movie reviews right there, and I've got all of my 2024 movie reviews right there.